Hi guys, I'm Winnie the Jroo, and today we're going to be talking about AI in the world of tattooing. Today's going to be a really fun video to make, a really fun topic to talk about because this is something that's very controversial in the art world right now. And before we get into the actual physical opportunity that lies before us, I first want to touch on the intrinsically valuable lessons that have presented themselves. And that very important lesson being change, and not only change, but adaptability to change. Now, of course, I'm going to get into all of the AI tools that I use personally that help me and how I use them and give you guys some of my tips and tricks on how to use them as well. But first, let's dive deep into adaptability and why that's so important, especially when it comes to art. Now, now, there's a quote that I really love by one of my favorite thought leaders, Alan Watts, where he states, "The only way to make sense of change is to plunge into it, to move with it, and to join the dance." And that's what I want to do here today is join that dance with you guys and show y'all my moves, okay? So humans always have had an interesting relationship with change and the uncomfortability of it. That fear-based approach is what stops a lot of people from being able to progress and grow through the changes that naturally happen in our world, right? Now, this is what I see happening with a lot of the people who are so resistant against using AI when it comes down to art and when it comes down to tattooing. I personally embrace the change around me, and it has helped me evolve immensely throughout my journey, not only as a person, but as an artist. Now we can't allow that fear to stop us from moving forward with the things that could potentially make the biggest difference to our journey, right? And I personally don't want to miss out on these blessings, and I personally don't want to see the people that I care about, the people that I'm also trying to teach, miss out on these opportunities as well. So there have been many times throughout human history and art history where people have seen something advantageous through the eyes of fear or through the eyes of limitation. A couple examples of that is the transitional phase between theater and film. I obviously was not there when film started to come out, but there are records throughout history that it seriously affected the theater industry, the live theater industry, right? But that's not to say that film has not become a massively impactful art form, something that I personally love, and I know a lot of people that are watching this obviously love, and that is actually the way that you guys are all watching this is because it was filmed. We're not sitting here live, and so that was a huge change for the live theatrical industry. Another more modern example is the change from Blockbuster to Netflix. When Netflix first started coming out, there were streaming services. That was a big fear for the movie industry that, oh no, all of the blockbusters are going to tank because people are going to want to stream from their home live. And then there was the, eradication of Redbox. I don't know how many of you guys that are watching this remember Redbox, but there's always something that is going to come along that is going to be an advancement in technology, an advancement in technique, an advancement in approach to a certain art form, and we can't shy away from these because if you do, you will get left in the dust. I'm sorry, that's just the way that the world works. If you don't keep your feet moving, you're going to be left behind. Another very personal example of this that is very closely related to tattooing is the evolution from using coil machines to using rotary machines. So I was learning how to tattoo at a time when rotaries were just coming out. I learned how to tattoo on coils. And when rotaries started to come out, there was a lot of old school artists who were very stuck in their archaic ways who didn't want to make that change. They were loyal to the coil, which I understand, I understand the novelty behind sticking to the old ways, and paying homage to the roots of art and the roots of tattooing. But also, I fucking hate coils. I will never use coils again. I love my rotary pen. Where is this bitch? This thing is a goddamn miracle. I love this machine. And compared to where tattooing came from, to be able to just have this magical little wand that's wireless, I just stick my cartridge in and it just works perfectly. It's tuned amazingly. This, there's not, I don't care the amount of loyalty that I have to the old ways. Nothing is going to want to make me use a coil when I have something like this. Now, the same ideology rings true with the technology that we have to create our reference images, right? And when it comes to art and when it comes to tattooing, referencing images for me is something that's very important because I am a realism artist. I do surrealism, and so having great realistic images is something that I hold to the utmost importance in my creative process. And so that is why I personally love AI. AI stands for artificial intelligence, which is different types of technology that draws on the information from the entirety of the internet to do what it is that you need it to do. The AI bot that I personally use is called Midjourney. It's available through the social app Discord, and that is how I like to reference my images. But first, before we get into how I use AI and I show you guys, my process of doing so, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of using AI. Now, first things first, going through the negative things that people have to say about AI, the cons. A lot of people say that AI sucks the soul out of the creative process for artists. Um, I personally think that it enhances our creativity. Not only does AI give us a different type of inspiration, it's just faster. And as a true artist, no, it doesn't matter who or what out there is creating amazing art, whether it's an artist in a different country or it's a bot that can create images. Nothing is going to take my creativity away. That is a seed that was planted within my soul before I came here, and I've been watering it since the day I was born, and nothing can change that. I have a very abundant mind state, which is why I wanted to make this video in the first place, because nothing that is improving the creativity of the world out there can take can take away the creativity that lives within me. I personally think that AI is able to breathe life into the creative soul of an artist and enhance the way that we use that creativity and that inspiration to make better art. Another downside that people have to say about AI is that it steals art from people, which is not true. It's just not true. It can derive inspiration from a certain artist, but every single image that is created by the AI bot that I use is in an original image every single time. It can have inspiration and go in a certain direction to maybe mimic another artist, but every image that it creates is a one of one, authentically very unique piece of art. One thing that I love about this is the efficiency. This is a huge pro for me, is the efficiency in which AI gives me to go throughout my creative process. Now, when it comes to people talking about AI stealing art from people and the devaluation of human skills, I disagree. I would argue that it is increasing the value of human skills based upon how skillful the human is that is using it. When it is no different than we use the internet to source images, and I'm about to show you guys that here in a second. So the way around viewing AI as a devaluation of our skills is to recognize the opportunity and increase our skills to match the technology that we have available. Let's get right into it. I'm going to show you guys how I use Midjourney and how it can potentially help you guys because it has helped me immensely. Before I started using Midjourney, I used Google Images and Pinterest to source my images, which is, I'm assuming, the same way that a lot of artists that may see this video source their images. Now, my friend Kyle showed me Midjourney, and I'm so grateful because it has changed everything, and here's why. Let's say that I have a client that comes to me and says, I want a tattoo of a Greek god. My first step is to go source images of portraiture, right? If I'm wanting to do a tattoo of Zeus, I'm going to go to Pinterest or Google Images and type in portrait of a bearded Greek god or portrait of a bearded statue. It's going to pull up images that are available to everybody who has access to the internet, right? And so what I see happening a lot in the tattoo industry is if there's a really good reference image, people are going to use that. I have used the same reference images as hundreds and thousands of other artists because it's a good photo. You know, there's an image of a tiger that I've used as reference that I've seen tattooed 100 other times. There's this really good statue that I used as an image for this tattoo that I did. I called it Father Time, and that's a very famous statue, so there's a really good photo of it that tons of other artists have used. You know, and that's not a bad thing. There might be 100 tattoos of this same image. It's going to look a little bit different in each tattoo, and each artist is going to do it a little bit different. So there's going to be that differentiation in the art itself, but it's still the same reference image, right? Now, why I love this is because we always have an original reference image. So as opposed to going to Pinterest or Google Images for my reference, I will go to Midjourney and I will give it a prompt and tell it exactly what it is that I'm looking for. Now you can see here in this prompt, I told Midjourney to imagine the prompt of a portrait of a bearded Greek god statue with lightning coming from the eyes, cinematic lighting, 32K hyper detail in black and white. This is what I am going to use as my focal point image of my tattoo. And what it does is it gives me 4 different renderings using the prompt that I gave it, and these 4 images is what it spits out. Now, from these images, what I did is I chose that I liked this image and this image the most. Now, how this grid works, this is image 1, this is image 2, image 3, and image 4. Now there's 2 rows of buttons below these 4 images. There are U and V, and now they each match up with each image on the grid. There is image 1, 2, 3, 4. The U stands for upscale. If I want to upscale image 1, I would push the U for upscale 1. Now what this does is it gives us an upscaled version and more in-depth version of the image that we chose. If we wanted 4 different versions similar to this, we would choose versions 4, and it would take this image in particular and give us 4 different images very similar to this first image, right? Now these are the upscaled images of the 2 that I like the most. This here is the fully rendered version of our 4th image, the one that I like the most. So what I do is I click on this image and I save that image to my iPad. Now, this isn't the exact version that I'm going to just take and tattoo on somebody, but I do like this as my base structure for my reference image. So now I take this image from my iPad and I move it into Procreate, which is the app in which I create all of my designs. Now, obviously, it looks a lot different here because I've added certain elements. I've drawn on top of it to change it to fit the structure of the body. But as you can see here, I have the original image that I got from Midjourney. Now I can manipulate this image to make it custom to what I want it to look like. This is what I have added to this image to turn it into the tattoo design that I want. And as you can see, even if I was to just tattoo the image that I got straight from Midjourney onto someone's body, that would still be a great tattoo. I personally love to draw and distort my imagery into something very surrealistic, very out of this world, and just mind-blowing. I always go for that oh shit factor. And so that is why I have changed this image to look how it has. I drew on top of the reference image that I used. If I was to go and scroll through Pinterest and try and find an image of a bearded statue, it would take me a lot longer than it did to type that prompt in, you know, and getting that prompt took me less than 2 minutes, and it gave me great imagery that I could then use. That is a perfect example of AI enhancing my creative abilities because not only did I have more time to work on the actual art and changing that image to fit my tattoo, it allowed me to create that novelty in the actual piece of art itself, because this reference image has never been seen before. And yes, I could just go and draw a statue. That would take me hours upon hours. This is why, as a realism artist, I reference my imagery. And this is why, as an evolved artist, I use AI to reference my imagery. It helps me be more creative by helping me be more efficient. It it allows me to stretch my mind as far as what's possible, because I can give certain prompts and I can get a lot more accurate reference imagery for what I'm looking for. So Midjourney is a bot that you have to pay for. So once you download the Discord app, you're going to need an invite into the Midjourney server. And so you can write us here personally with the link below, and we will send you that invite so that you can get on the Midjourney app. You do have to pay for it. Right now, it is $5 a week. It is absolutely worth it. I pay for it because it's super valuable to me. There also is a free version of this. It is a lot slower than the paid for version. So if you're an artist that will use this frequently, as I do, you can use this for more than just drawing inspiration for reference images for tattooing. I've also used this just to create, posters, announcement posters. I've seen musicians use this for album art and all kinds of things. And so anytime it comes down to curating a specific, unique image that you don't have the time to sit down and draw for hours on end, this is such an efficient way of using the technology around us to put ourselves in a better place to create at a higher level. If you guys want to see more examples of pieces that I've used Midjourney to get my reference imagery for, you can find it on my Instagram, on my TikTok. Pretty much every tattoo that you guys have seen me design throughout the last couple months, I've used at least one part of that. Was an image that was sourced from Midjourney. Of course, I always change things up and draw on top of the images that I use, but this is such a beautifully specific tool to help us gather better references. So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and feelings about AI, about the different tools that we have around us, and how you have seen them either help or hinder you, because I see no hindrance in these tools. So even if you guys have a difference in opinion, I would still love to hear some feedback and some thoughts. And so please comment down below, and I will see you guys next week for another educational update. Thank you guys so much.